What's up guys, Tommy Bowyer here from Movie Rewind, and today I will be reviewing Casualty Series 37. So without further ado, let's get into it. The 37th series of Casualty aired from the 20th of August 2022 and concluded after 43 episodes on the 19th of August 2023. Series 37 features massive changes in the cast and format of Casualty more generally. New executive producer John Sen promised to bring new life to the show and said that he was going to modernise the Casualty brand so that it could still be relevant to modern audiences. And to be honest, I think it paid off. Series 37 is a breath of fresh air and, to be honest, one of the best Casualty series I have seen in the last couple of years. So yeah, I'm really impressed with Series 37 and I'm going to go over why I think that Series 37 is one of the better series of Casualty. So the main theme of Series 37 is the increasing pressure medical staff are under and the NHS more generally. From the very first episode where we see senior nurse Charlie Fairhead, the only character to have appeared since the show's first episode in 1986, he begins to lose faith in the NHS, in his job. And Dylan Keogh, who is the clinical lead and a long-serving consultant, says to Charlie, look, the fact that you have lost faith means that something needs to be done, changes need to be made. And that theme of the NHS under pressure continues throughout the series. And I think they handled it very well. They show how doctors, nurses and paramedics are all suffering with different problems and why so many of them are just being pushed to breaking point. And I think that they handle this theme very, very well. Series 37 contains a lot of different kind of episodes, and I don't think Casualty gets enough credit for always trying to do something different. If I had to pick out a standout episode from Series 37 which demonstrates this uniqueness, it would have to be the paramedic improvised episode which aired last Christmas. It's a phenomenal episode. The fact that it was just completely improvised and the cast had to come up with dialogue to interact with one another to make it appear more realistic, I just think that was such a novel idea and just shows not only the talent of the actors involved, but also how Casualty as a programme is up for doing anything. And I think Casualty deserves a lot of credit for that. Series 37 does feel like two different series. The first half of Series 37 feels like a continuation of Series 36. But after the episode Welcome to the War Zone, the series takes on a new lease of life. We get the introduction of 4 new characters and 1 returning character from Holby City. And the format just feels very, very different. John Sen decided to break Series 37 up into 12 episode arcs, and there'd be a specific storyline which would follow through for those 12 episodes. And I think it's a good idea, actually. I think this new format means that Casualty feels a lot more interesting. It feels like it's had renewed energy in it in the past few months. And I think that John Sen, as an executive producer, has actually been a really good voice of change for the show. He clearly understands what Casualty is all about, and I've been happy with a lot of the changes he's been making to the cast as well as the format more generally. Obviously, a series of Casualty is only as strong as its characters, and to be honest, a lot of the storylines that the characters have had in Series 37 I have really enjoyed. I mean, let's start off with Stevie. I think Stevie's a good place to start because in Series 36, I weren't 100% sure about Stevie. I enjoyed Eleanor Lawless's performances, but in terms of Stevie as a character, I just didn't really like her that much. But in Series 37, I've grown to love her. I think that's partly because she was involved in a very good storyline involving her being coercively controlled by Marcus Fidel. I think that was an interesting storyline because it shows that even a strong, independent woman like Stevie can be vulnerable. So I think that was a really good storyline. Plus, Stevie's become a very funny character. I chuckle at most of her lines. I don't know if that's because of Eleanor Lawless's delivery or just the writing for Stevie as a character, but I've grown to love Stevie. Dylan Keogh, he has a great series in Series 37. I was a bit unsure when Dylan took over as clinical lead. I thought that he wouldn't suit that role, but he proved me wrong, and I think it's heartbreaking that in the end it's due to his principles, because he is convinced that there is something going on at care homes, that elderly, vulnerable patients are being abused. In the end, he loses his clinical lead position because he stands by his principles. And I find that really heartbreaking, because I thought Dylan was actually a really strong clinical lead. Faith has an interesting series. We learn that Faith was actually raped last year, and I always think it's great when Casualty kind of set up storylines months in advance, because it just shows that sometimes things that have happened months, even years ago, can still have an impact on an individual to this very day. And of course then Faith's drug storyline. Faith becomes quite an unlikable character in Series 37, but that's because she has a drug problem. She has become an addict, and you know, by the end of the series she's lying about having cancer in order to cover her lies. So yeah, Faith definitely falls from grace in this series. Jan's storylines I really enjoy. Jan, a more senior paramedic, she's been there, she's seen it all. And much like Charlie did in the opening episode, we see Jan begin to lose faith during Series 37. You know, she has tried her best to keep the paramedics together, to be the mother hen, to be the strong, dependable figure in that ambulance service. And yet in Series 37, we start to see her break down. And Di Boccia as an actor is incredible. She delivers some brilliant performances during this series, and she is definitely an asset to Casualty. I also can't think of a departure from Series 37 which I didn't enjoy. I mean, firstly we have consultant Ethan Hardy, George Rainsford, deciding to leave Casualty after 9 years, and I was so glad that Ethan got a happy exit. You know, he goes off to India with his son Bodhi's to learn more about Phoenicia's heritage. And I love his exit. I love the final conversation between him and Dylan, where Dylan basically tells him how great he is and how much the ED's going to miss him. And I do hope that Ethan comes back. I have to admit, Ethan was a great character, and George Rainsford's probably one of the best actors that has ever been in Casualty. But I'm glad that Ethan did get a happy exit. One character who did not get a happy exit was Robyn Miller. Now, Robyn, a lovable nurse, appeared in the show for a decade, and she was killed off. And I have to say, the episodes in which she is killed off are Casualty at its finest. They are emotional, they are heartbreaking, they are gripping, and they are shocking. I didn't expect Robyn to die, and it left a massive impact on the entire ED. And I also love how, after Robyn is killed, after she dies, in part because of how much pressure the ED is under, nurses David Hyde and Marty Kirkby, they say they've had enough, and they walk out, and they don't come back. And I know people were shocked by that, saying, well, how come David would just walk out? You know, Marty wouldn't just leave. But it's realistic. It shows how much pressure nurses are under, and in the end, some of them just decide, what is the point of this? We're not getting any thanks for it, and the system is broken. We can't work in this anymore. So I really liked all three of those departures. And Robyn's death, it sends shockwaves throughout the ED. I mean, Jacob Masters resigns as clinical nurse manager, and he becomes a student paramedic because of Robyn's death. So Robyn's death, it really did have a massive impact on the department. And I think the episode in which Robyn dies then marks a new era for Casualty, because a couple of episodes after that, we get introduced to a whole host of new characters. Much like the departures, in terms of new characters, I can't actually think of a new character that I haven't enjoyed and who I can't see having a long future with Casualty going forward. Let's start off with Max Christie, the new clinical lead and consultant, portrayed by Nigel Harman. And let's face it, he's being portrayed by Nigel Harman. I don't think anyone doubted that Max weren't going to be a great character. I love Max. Max reminds me a lot of Nick Jordan in the sense, a very confident consultant, a natural born leader, someone who's always going to take charge of the ED and put the staff and patients first. So it's fair to say I love Max as a character. And then of course we get the introduction of 4 new nurses as well as Holby City character Donna Jackson. Now, I knew it was only a matter of time before a Holby City character would join Casualty, because Holby City had some fantastic characters. I always thought it was going to be Fletch, given his history with Casualty as a programme, but I was over the moon that it was Donna. I mean, Jay Jacobs as an actor, she is Donna Jackson, and Donna fits into Casualty almost instantly, and I really enjoy Donna's storylines, especially the storyline which looks like it's going to continue into series 38 involving her guilt over causing a car crash. I think Jay Jacobs gave some incredible performances during that storyline. Plus, I enjoy Donna and Dylan together. I think those two could work really well together as a couple. There seems to be good chemistry there, and I just hope that they get together, because it would be nice for Dylan especially to have some luck, because he doesn't have much luck when it comes to love. So you never know. I think Donna and Dylan could work really well. And the other 4 nurses, I know that viewers after their first episode said that they hated them, and some people were even calling for all 4 characters to be axed. I was never one of those people. I thought that it's going to take a few weeks to get to know these characters, and by the end of series 37 I really enjoy these characters, and it looks like the majority of viewers do as well. I mean, you've got Cam, you've got Jodie, you've got Rida, and you've got Ryan, and all 4 are great in terms of the characters they are. For me, the standout though, it has to be Jodie Whyte. And that's for a couple of reasons. Firstly, Anna Chell's performances. She's a great actor, and I really like what she's done with that character so fast. Secondly, it's her storylines. The fact that she is Max's secret daughter and she wants nothing to do with him at first. And I think it's great to see that relationship kind of rebuild as the series goes on. So yeah, I really enjoyed her storyline. Plus, some of the episodes which centre around Jodie are some of the best in this series, especially the episode in which Jodie is drugged at a nightclub. I think that's a great episode which shows how easy it is to become involved in that situation, and how vulnerable women can be on a night out, especially when you've got creeps around every corner. And secondly, the episode in which Jodie has to hold a bomb which is about to go off. That was a very gripping and intense episode. So yeah, for me, Jodie Whyte is the standout new character this series. I really like her as a character. She's becoming one of my favourites, and I hope that we see a lot more of her in series 38, as well as the other characters as well. So in conclusion, series 37 does feel like 2 different series. The first half of the series, up until Robyn's death, kind of feels like series 36. And what I mean by that is that if you've been following this channel for a while, you'll probably know my opinions on Series 36. I thought Series 36 was a bit of a letdown. And the early part of Series 37 was a letdown for me. But after the format changes, after Welcome to the War Zone, when we get a revamped cast, I feel like there's a renewed energy in the show. And I think that's due to John Sen. It took him a few months to kind of figure out what he was going to do with Casualty, but I think he's done a good job. Casualty is exciting again. I'm invested in every single episode of Casualty that comes out now. It feels like a new show, and I think that's a good thing. I really like what he's done with the characters and the format changes, and I hope Series 38 just demonstrates more of that. So yeah, I really enjoyed Series 37. It was a lot better than Series 36, and I'm hoping Series 38 is even better. So thanks for watching, guys. I really do hope you enjoyed this video. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe in order to receive great and maybe improved quality content in the future. Now, one thing that I do want to point out is that I remember when Series 37 started, Digital Spy released an article basically saying that Casualty was entering one of its most turbulent times because of its lack of direction and stuff like that. Basically nonsense, in my opinion. The only reason Series 37 was affected in terms of viewing figures is because of how much little respect the BBC has for the show. I mean, the BBC celebrated their 100-year anniversary last year, and despite the fact that Casualty is the longest running medical drama in the world, they were basically excluded from the celebrations. If anything, they were just pushed off air for months and suffered loads of disruption troubles which affected the pacing of the show. So if anyone is to blame for Series 37's viewing figures being lower than usual, it is the BBC. You know, they have very little respect for the show, and Casualty deserves so much respect. You know, it deserves so much respect, because even now, after 37 years, they are trying new things. They're still unique. They always try and change the format and do something different, and I don't think they get the praise which they should. So sort it out, BBC. You know, Casualty is a great show and a great asset to you. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Just sort it out. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in another one. See ya!